And ready to go. Welcome everyone to the Helm Dev Call for Thursday, December 19th, 2019. Just want to welcome everyone here today. So we're going to go ahead and get started. If you're attending for the first time or watching this for the first time, the general outline as we go through the announcements, if there are any, stand up from the core maintainers, and then any stand up report outs from people in the community working on items, and then we finish up with some discussion. So let's go ahead and get started. I think we have only one announcement today. And that is that Helm 3.0.2 was released. There were a couple bugs that we had found. We just wanted to get that out right before most of us disappeared for about a week for the holidays. I guess that's kind of an announcement too. We'll be watching the queues through the holidays, but we're not going to be actively working really on any bugs or anything unless it's major. So if there is something major, please let us know and we'll make sure we get the effort in to fix it. And so that is it for the announcements today. Anything else that I missed?
There are no more Helm developer calls till the second week of January.
Yes, because
calls on the 2nd. I think it's the 9th. It's our next Helm meeting.
Yep. So we're taking a 2-week break. Hope everyone enjoys their holidays. And looks like, thanks, Josh. So apparently Chart Museum now works with Helm 3. So everyone rejoice. Or just pull up Monty Python and say, and the people rejoiced. Yay. No, really, thank you, Josh. It's great that we have that there now. So let's go ahead and get started with stand-up. I'll finish it up when we're done, so I'll pass it off to Butcher.
So full disclosure, I accidentally cut the 3.02 release a day early because I was following the guide for cherry picking and just kept going until I had tagged the release, and then it was sort of too late. So that was my dumb mistake for the week. But I did get my first release in like a year and a half that I've cut directly. Thanks to Fisher, Taylor, and Farina for walking me through my dumb mistakes and helping me fix that stuff. Otherwise, I've just been watching the issue queue. I know we're getting a lot of questions about when the next 2.x release is coming out and when the 3.1 release is out. All that stuff will be, I think 3.1 is end of January right now, tentatively, and I don't even think we have a two release scheduled, but we can probably do one in January. Other than that, just kind of following up on things in the issue queue and trying to keep tabs of things through this week. That's it for me. I'll pass it to the next Matt in line.
Oh, hi. I assume that's me. So this week, actually, it hasn't been too much on the Helm side. I've been kind of shepherding some issues, going through, trying to provide like some context here and there and some consultation mostly on existing issues or different things that people have been raising as issues or proposals or features. So not really anything on the feature side, just doing some consultation on the issue queue. So that's all I really have to report for this week. Let's go to Josh.
So so I had released a new Chart Museum version based on 2.16.1, which actually broke support for Helm 3. So worked with Karopaya, who has been super active in moving the package paths over to the V3 paths, and did a bunch of acceptance testing and seems to work. The Helm push plugin was also broken due to XTG stuff, so have a fix for that as well. And that's mostly been it. To Taylor.
Okay, for me this week, I did a few issue triaging things, responding to issues that I was already involved in, and then I finally put together a full proposal for post-render hooks in Helm. I think we'll have more of a discussion item on that when everybody's back from the holidays, so we can have a little bit more engagement with it. But basically what it is we add a new post-render flag and configuration to the release, and it allows you to use whatever you want to, after Helm renders the manifest, it pass it off to whatever you want it to pass it off to, like customize is the example that I used. And then it expects manifests back in, and then it still manages that release as it would a normal Helm release, with whatever modifications or checks that have been done on top. So I'll go ahead and send a link out to that as well. And then that was it for me with Helm. And this next week, I'm just checking SUQ sporadically to make sure we're okay. And that is it. So that's it from the core maintainers. Anyone else on the call want to give an update on anything? Okay, then we'll go ahead and move on to any discussion items, which we don't have any. Or is there any that anyone wants to bring up?
Taylor, maybe we can, if you have time, look at what your proposal entails, because I've been getting a lot of questions about Customize.
Okay, I can go ahead and do that. Let me give you the links first, and then I'll share my screen and just walk through what it does. That's the proposal link that I just sent in chat, and the PR that implements it. It's fully implemented. I haven't written any tests for it or anything. I wanted to kind of nail down if there were any changes that people wanted. So let me go ahead and share. Okay, so the proposal here, well, I guess I should first the proposal. Like I said, the TLDR is it can be any arbitrary binary, and as long as it accepts Kubernetes manifests coming in on standard in and spits out on standard out. The reason I went with that was that it was the most simple and impose the least amount of data constraints on people, because some people might want to run it through a compliance tool if you're at a big enterprise, and so they could run it through a compliance tool that does scans or injects certain things that have to be in there, and then it could return an error, basically a non-zero exit code to say, hey, there is an error, and so don't continue with the chart. So this goes through all the problems and solutions. You can all read it. We've added in the post renderer hook on that branch. And so that's what you use to specify a path to a binary. It uses the name of that binary inside of this renderers, so it can provide some basic shoot yourself in the foot protection against if you accidentally try to specify a different renderer or if you don't specify a renderer, because we're trying to maintain it as consistent as possible. You obviously have some dangers using a post render thing because Helm isn't managing it, what it's doing to the manifest after. So you have to make sure you're always using that same one to have consistent results.
And that flag is on template and install, or what?
I can't remember if I added it to template. I think I actually forgot to add that as a question, if we wanted it on template or not. I figured if you're using a post render, you're probably not going to need to use templates, but because that's what most people are doing right now. If you're doing something with Customize, is you're doing Helm template, piping it out to something, and then running Customize on it. But we can add it there. It's on install and upgrade right now. You don't need a render hook for an uninstall. So that's what it's specified to be right now.
Are we going to support multiple post renders?
I don't have that in there. If we think that's something we could do, if we want to run it through a chain, we could. The thinking here was there might be a few. So it's actually set up so that it'll check for binaries in your plugin directory, so we can people can distribute these with the plugin system if they want to. But the idea was that people are going to do each thing so differently that the thought was along the lines of you can put it together in your script that reads it in and pipes it through your different tools if you wanted to, or whatever you want to set up. But we can specify, we could make it a multiple one and have it run each render in succession. It wouldn't be too terribly difficult to do. We just have to change the data structure a bit.
Yeah, because I can imagine if you wanted to pass it through both Customize and a security auditing tool or something like that, you might want to do two post renders.
Yeah, I figured my goal here was to keep it as simple as possible. Yeah. If we think that's going to be the major use case, but I figure that a lot of people are going to use this for Customize. That's why here in this example, I have a tarball attached with a basic Customize example for the WordPress chart that's going to basically attach an environment variable to there.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, so then you can build the PR if anyone wants to try it, and then run essentially this command inside of the wherever you you decompress that tarball into. And so that was my thinking, is if people want to glue it together, it's much easier for them to have more fine-grained control over it in their own scripts rather than just a basic, oh, I'm going to run this one, and then I'm going to run this one, and then I'm going to run this one. And then what if people want to run it in parallel, or what if only specific ones can be run in parallel? So my thought was just keep it, you go have one entry point and you code it up to do whatever you want. And that was the thought.
Yeah, okay, that's
okay. Yeah, all things said, it's actually not a major change. It's only 150 lines of code added with a few things removed. So it's not necessarily super large. It's just across a bunch of files that are using it where we've added the flag in. But there's just the basic checks in place to make sure that we don't accidentally use the wrong renderer. The big question is that I have open is whether or not we want to use have like some sort of flag that can override your renderer. So in case like you very specifically want to override the renderer that you've set, then you can do that, or you can override it and say we don't need a post renderer anymore. You could make it empty. I did not add that in here, but if we think that's something people will want, then we can do it. Right now, it's pretty much, if you opt into a post renderer, you must use that post renderer for the remainder of that release's lifetime, because it's just about maintaining consistency. It isn't meant to make it difficult for people. It's just I wanted to minimize the danger as much as possible, because people could easily shoot themselves in the foot if they didn't specify the right one, or if they change out the renderer, and it could break production. So the idea was to keep it as safe as possible.
that might be unnecessary.
The flag, or making sure that once you've opted in, you always have to use it?
Requiring them to reuse it for upgrades. Because it is entirely possible that you would only need a post render step for the initial install, like if you were changing a one-time resource like a namespace or something, and then passing it through the rest of the time, you'd have to rewrite something to get it to handle an upgrade case or something. And I'm not in favor of doing it simply to prevent somebody from shooting themselves in the foot. If that's the only reason we have, if that means that we would introduce this weird case where, in order to get an install support for an install something, we would have to support the same thing for upgrades and rollbacks.
Yeah, you can.
Ooh, that would be weird. If you try and roll back, if you install then upgrade with a post render, then try and roll back to the original version, would you be able to do that?
I think I might have handled that in the logic. Right now, like it is. Or maybe I forgot to. Oh no, I did add it to rollback, I think. Oh no,
but
I
if
just
you
formatted
tried
it.
to roll back to before you had a post render, would you be able to do that, or would you still have to have the post render step to roll it back to before the post render? Because that would be a strange edge case.
Yeah, rolling it back that way.
Yeah.
I'm also all for just having like some sort of marker that a renderer was used and it's spitting out a warning, but we could also just say,
yeah.
But the thing is we'd want to prompt for user input at that point, because otherwise it's just a warning. It's like, oh crap, I did it wrong, but it warned me about it. Like that's kind of my concern about just printing out a
I
warning.
guess you could put a guard on it and say, just add a flag that's like no post render that it, I don't know.
So I'm looking at the example that you have, that tarball that has the example for stable WordPress.
Yeah.
So that has customized patch files and the customized binary. Am I correct?
No, so that customized script is it's just a script. If you look at it, it's a shell script, because one of the annoying things is you can't customize doesn't accept right now stuff on standard in. It expects files to be present. And so in that script, I'm outputting to a file name that's known in the customized thing, and then it'll run it and spit it back out on standard out.
Okay. Okay, and then I see all.eml. I understand. Okay, is there work to be done and then on the customized side to accept standard in?
Yes, if we
Okay.
want to make it nicer, that would be the ideal. But right now it works as is with this, and you can make it work for anything else. If you wanted to do a simple
Yeah.
browse your file, or if you wanted to do something other check, you'd probably do that through some sort of script format. So that does this. So I guess the question I have is, do we want to not have any checks for that at all, and just if you have specified a post renderer, it'll do it. Otherwise, it's going to not use it, and then you are going to have to deal with the fallout if you didn't specify it? Or do we want to make it some sort of protection with a flag? What kind of was the route we were thinking would work?
I think you can start with no checking, and then anything beyond that seems featurey and wouldn't break backwards compatibility.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think I agree with that.
Okay, then I'll remove the checks, and then I'll make sure I thought I had added it to rollback, but I guess I forgot, and I'll add it onto rollback to make sure it's there. And that edge case should be fine still, because if you specify post render, it'll use it. Otherwise, it's gonna just use the chart that was there before.
Yeah, that sounds like a good minimal first implementation. And if it turns out that people really are shooting themselves in the foot, like Josh said, we can add without breaking compatibility.
Okay, that sounds good. I'm just looking through. I just was double checking in the rollback, because if I remember right, the rollback does it render the manifest again? I don't think it does. So if you used a post render step, the final outputted manifest will be what are put back to without you having to rerun the post renderer.
Yeah, as far as I understand, the rollback just regenerates from what was in the release and then rolls back to that state.
Yeah, that's what that's okay. Now I'm remembering. See, I wrote that part like a month and a half ago. Yeah, that's why I didn't put it on rollback, is because it is just using the already generated manifest, so you don't need to run it through a post renderer again. So, any other questions?
No, thanks for that.
Yeah, so if anyone has any other questions, let me know, and I figure we'll review it one more time when the other maintainers are around. I just hope to get some feedback from other people in the community, make sure we didn't miss any edge cases, and then hopefully we can get it in. We can also put this behind a feature flag if we're worried about adding it. We could do it just like with some of the other stuff we've got in Helm 3 as experimental, if people think that could be better. So, okay. Any other discussion items? Okay.
I could ask, what is everyone having for turkey, or I mean for Christmas, but I think we'll leave that off the call.
You can't say that anymore. This is going on YouTube.
What is your holiday
I don't know. I'm going vegan soon, so.
Nice.
Okay.
All right, sorry.
I think that's it for that. Let's go ahead and get the assignments out for next week or 2 weeks. I guess we could just kind of do it ad hoc, because it's going to be 2 weeks and everybody's going to forget anyway.
Yeah, it's going to be 3 weeks, I think. It's not until January 9th,
Yeah.
as Matt Butcher pointed out. So doing something almost 3 weeks in advance here, I think we'll just do it ad hoc on that week.
Okay, let's do that.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks, everyone. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording and finish up the meeting.
All right, bye.